Why is it that the person who broke you, the one who walked away without a word, without closure, without a reason you could make sense of, still lingers in your mind? And yet, they're the ones watching from afar. Why is she watching your stories but never reaching out? Why does she still show up online, smiling, laughing, living, while you're drowning in the silence she left behind? Here's the truth. No one tells you. She's not gone, not really. She's waiting. Waiting for you to break the silence. Waiting for you to chase. Because deep down, she needs to know she still has control. But the moment you stop chasing, truly stop, that silence she thought would shatter you becomes her prison. And every second you don't reach out, every post you don't like, every message you don't send, it screams louder than words ever could. She won't message you first. Not because she doesn't care, but because pride, fear, and ego are louder than her longing. She's hoping you'll cave first, so she doesn't have to face the truth that she might have lost something real. But here's where everything changes. The man who masters his emotions, who refuses to break for someone who chose to disappear, that man wins in silence. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about reclaiming the power that was always yours. Because when she sees that her absence didn't break you, that your world didn't collapse, something unexpected begins: regret, doubt, even obsession. Not because you tried to win her back, but because you stopped trying. And that shift, that silence, becomes impossible for her to ignore. So if you're still waiting for her to make the first move, stop. She's not waiting to reconnect. She's waiting to confirm you haven't moved on. But when your silence speaks louder than any declaration, it forces her to face what she walked away from. This video is your blueprint, not a trick, not a tactic, a transformation. We're diving into how silence becomes your strongest weapon, not to manipulate her, but to master yourself. How no contact isn't a strategy to get her back, but a test of your discipline, your worth, your growth. So if you're done feeling like an option, if you're done letting someone else's indecision define your peace, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment. My silence speaks for me now. Now, let's begin. The first truth you need to understand: she pulled away to see if you'd chase. She didn't suddenly get confused. She didn't just need space. She pulled back with intention to test your reaction. Because that's what many women do when they aren't sure. They don't ask, they watch. They retreat just a little and wait to see how you respond. And most men, they panic. They reach out, they apologize for things they didn't do. They send long messages trying to explain, to fix, to hold on to something that's already slipping. And in doing so, they give her the validation she was looking for, that she still has the upper hand. But the stoic man, the disciplined man, he doesn't move. He doesn't chase. He feels the sting, yes, but he doesn't react emotionally. Because he understands the game without playing it. He sees the test and calmly passes it, not for her approval, but for his own growth. You have to recognize this for what it is. Not heartbreak, not rejection, a shift in your journey, away from validation toward transformation. Every moment you don't reach out, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Every second of silence becomes a mirror she has to face, a mirror that reflects not just your absence, but her decisions. And here's the irony: she expected you to break. She expected the text, the call, the apology, but instead, she's met with silence, stillness, and in that stillness, she starts to spiral. Did he move on? Did he never care? Did I lose him? The very questions she hoped you'd be asking start echoing in her mind. You see, you don't win her back by trying. You win your power back by stopping. Stopping the emotional chase, stopping the need for answers, stopping the idea that she was the prize. You are the prize, and when she realizes that, truly sees it, not because you told her, but because you became it, everything shifts. Your silence becomes thunder. Your discipline becomes magnetic. Not because you're cold, but because you chose peace over chaos. And that, brother, is when the real healing begins. Not when she returns, not when she reaches out, but when her absence no longer matters, when you stop hoping for closure and start creating clarity within yourself. So let her watch, let her scroll, let her wonder. You don't need to be seen, to be missed. You just need to be silent long enough for your absence to echo in her world. And when it does, don't be surprised if she comes back. But by then, maybe you'll realize you don't need her to. You just needed you to come back. This isn't revenge. This isn't bitterness. This is rebirth. The version of you that rises from this silence. He's not chasing anyone. He's leading himself. Number 2, attention is the drug, and you were her dealer. Attention isn't just validation. It's currency. And whether she realized it or not, she was addicted to yours. Every good morning, text, every compliment, every heart you dropped on her stories, it was a dopamine spike. It made her feel chosen, seen, desired, not just loved, worshipped. And over time, your attention became her fix. But here's the problem. She never respected the supply. Why? Because it was always there. You were consistent, predictable, always available when she needed that hit of comfort. And at first, that felt amazing to her, but eventually it became white noise, background ambiance. She didn't stop valuing it because it lost meaning. She stopped valuing it because it became expected. She forgot the cost. She forgot what it meant to earn your presence. That's why your silence is louder than any text you could send. Because the moment you pull back, truly pull back, you don't just create distance, you create a void. And the human brain, it hates voids. She starts checking your online status, wondering why your name isn't showing up in her notifications, why you haven't liked her latest picture. That's not coincidence. That's withdrawal. She was consuming your energy daily. Now, the supply is cut off, but you're not ghosting. You're not punishing her. You're rebalancing the scales. You're showing her that your time, your love, your attention, they're not free refills. They're earned. And here's the twist. The less you give, the more valuable you become. That's the scarcity effect. The rarer something is, the more it's desired. Suddenly, she starts questioning things she never used to think twice about. Did I push him too far? Did I take him for granted? Did I lose him? And here's where everything flips. She's not sure she has access to you anymore. That uncertainty, it's magnetic. It pulls her in deeper than your attention ever did. Because now, for the first time, she has to earn what used to be freely given. And that shift, from you being the supplier to you becoming the prize, is what flips the entire dynamic. Number 3, the art of strategic absence. When you're always available, you become invisible. That's the paradox. The more you show up, the more she expects you to. The more you reach out, the less impact it has. And while consistency is noble, when it becomes excessive, it becomes noise. You're no longer the story. You're just background, music. That's where strategic absence comes in. This isn't about disappearing in anger. It's not about playing games. It's about stepping back with intention, with calm, with discipline. You don't vanish because you're hurt. You vanish because your presence has value and it's no longer being respected. She thought she could retreat, that she could ghost you emotionally and you'd still be there when she got bored. She thought your loyalty was unconditional, but silence speaks where words cannot. Now, she feels the contrast, the lack of good morning texts, the empty notifications, the quiet, and that silence. It isn't passive, it's pressure. It forces her to feel, not your pain, her own decisions. Your absence becomes a mirror she can't avoid, a reflection of what she chose and what she might have lost. That void forces her inward, to question, to doubt, to wonder, did I misread him? Did I throw away something real? Here's the stoic truth. You don't need to prove your worth. Your silence does it for you. It reminds her he doesn't chase, he chooses. And if she distanced herself, you match it and double it. Because the man who respects himself never begs for access. He grants it. And when it's not valued, he removes it without noise, without drama, without warning. Most men fear absence. They think she'll forget. But here's what they don't understand. Absence doesn't make her forget. It makes her remember. Every quiet hour becomes a question. Every missed message becomes a trigger. Every empty space you use to fill becomes a vacuum she can't escape. Let her sit with it. Let the silence speak. Because strategic absence isn't retreat. It's elevation. It's how you go from the man who wanted her to the man she wants. Fact number 4, emotions are traps. Detach or be devoured. You can't lead yourself when you're emotionally bleeding. And that's exactly why she pulled away, because she knew it would cut you. She knew it would shake your confidence, trigger your need for clarity, for closure, for reassurance. And that's the trap. Because every time you react emotionally, you hand her power she didn't even ask for. You feel confused, hurt, angry, and that emotion, if unchecked, becomes a weapon against you. She doesn't have to do anything. You'll break yourself on your own. That's how most men lose. They can't sit with the silence, so they try to end it. They reach out, they write long paragraphs, they chase, thinking it's courage, but it's not strength, it's fear dressed up like action. That need to fix it, that need to feel connected again. That's your ego fighting to survive. But every time you give in, every time you send the just checking in message, every time you reach out without being invited, you're saying without words, you can disappear and I'll still be here waiting. And that is where your power evaporates. But the man who detaches, the man who learns to sit in discomfort without reacting, he becomes unstoppable. He doesn't numb his emotions. He masters them. He learns the difference between love and dependency, between desire and desperation. He understands that closure isn't something you're given, it's something you create. You can feel everything and still act from a place of strength. So when your emotions tell you to reach out, to explain, to chase, pause, breathe, observe. Because that silence you're sitting in, it's not punishment, it's purification. It's the fire that forges your next version. The version who doesn't chase validation. The version who doesn't beg for attention. The version who chooses himself. This is your power now. Not in what you say, not in how hard you try, but in the space you hold. The space she once occupied, that now belongs to your growth. Let the silence do its work. Let her feel what she created. And when she does, when the regret starts creeping in, when the doubt starts eating at her, you won't need to say a thing. Because your absence already said it all. Number 5, your pain is her mirror. You think your pain is invisible, that it's just yours to carry. But when you suffer after she walks away, it reflects something back at her, something powerful. It confirms she mattered more than she admitted. It confirms she had emotional leverage over you. And for someone who left, that confirmation feels like control. It's a kind of quiet victory, proof that she still owns space in your mind, in your heart, in your peace. And that's exactly why. Showing your pain too soon, too openly, backfires, because it tells her she was right to leave. But here's the deeper truth most men never realize. Your pain isn't about her. It never was. It's about what her departure awakened in you. Her walking away didn't break you. It revealed what was already fragile inside you. The unhealed wounds, the doubts, the abandonment fears you buried under love and attention. So, when you chase, her trying to make the pain stop, you're not chasing her. You're chasing relief. But even if she came back, even if she texted, called, stood on your doorstep crying, the pain wouldn't stop, because she's not the source of it. Your attachment is your identity was too entangled in her validation. Your sense of worth was too dependent on her presence. That's the real wound. The Stoic man doesn't run from this. He faces it. He understands that pain is not a life sentence. It's a signal, a flare pointing to where you've handed over too much of yourself. He doesn't waste energy asking, "Why did she leave me?" He asks, "Why was I so dependent on her staying?" And that one question, it rewrites the entire story, because now the pain isn't your prison. It's your mirror, not a reflection of what you lost, but of what you need to rebuild. Discipline, peace, self-worth, not built on someone else's love, but on your own foundation. And when you stop projecting that pain back onto her, when you stop using your suffering as a message, she feels something far more intense than sadness. She feels your distance, your indifference, your healing. That calm, detached silence hits deeper than any desperate text ever could, because now the man she sees isn't the man begging for another chance. He's the man who evolved from her absence, the man who no longer reflects her power, but her mistake. Number 6, women feel deeply, but respond to power. Yes, women are emotional. Yes, they care. But don't confuse emotion for weakness. Don't confuse tears with fragility. Women feel everything, but they move toward what commands them, what captivates them, what pulls them, what shakes them out of their comfort. And that pull, that force that makes her look back, that makes her regret, that makes her chase, it isn't just love, it's power. Your power. You've already shown her your feelings, in your texts, in your calls, in the way you tried to explain, to reason, to fix. She knows you care, that part is obvious, but now she's not watching to see how much you love her. She's watching to see if you can love yourself without her. She's not testing your heart, she's testing your center. Can you hold the silence? Can you sit in the discomfort without falling apart? Can you walk away and mean it? Because that is what shakes her. It's not emotion that pulls her back, it's restraint. This is where most men fall apart. They think vulnerability is the key to her heart, that if they show how hurt they are, she'll soften, she'll feel bad, she'll return. But emotion without control doesn't attract. It repels, it signals instability, it shows dependence. A man drowning in his feelings may be pitied, but never desired, and if there's no desire, there's no return. The man she wants, the one she dreams about at night, isn't the one who begs. It's the one who walked away with dignity, with poise, with silence that echoes louder than her. Memory of your voice. So let her feel that. Not your pain, not your sadness, but your calm, your strength, your absence. You don't need to prove anything anymore, because the man who holds his center even in heartbreak doesn't need to chase power. He is power. Number 7, your silence forces her reflection. Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of pressure. When you stop texting, stop explaining, stop reacting, you don't just disappear, you create space. And in that space, something powerful happens. She begins to hear the one voice she's been avoiding all along, her own. Without your constant validation, without your energy buffering the consequences of her choices, she finally starts to feel the weight of them. Doubts creep in, guilt whispers, regret taps at the back of her mind. Why hasn't he reached out? Is he over me? Did I misjudge him? Before, she didn't have to ask those questions, because your attention, your messages, your likes, your efforts, they were her safety net. As long as you were chasing, she didn't have to think, she didn't have to reflect. She could pretend she had control, but your silence, that's different. That silence breaks the illusion. It forces a confrontation, not with you, but with herself, with her choices, with the man she thought would wait, and now might not. Her mind begins to spiral, not because of what you did, but because of what you didn't do. That stillness, your emotional and spiritual absence, it rattles her. And then the real twist begins. She rewrites the story. At first, she told herself you'd come back. that you couldn't possibly hold the line, that your pride would crack under the pressure of her absence. But days pass, weeks maybe, and the silence stretches. Now, the narrative begins to fracture. The ego fights it, but deep down, the silence whispers something louder than words ever could. He might not come back at all, and that's when regret enters the room. Not loudly, but subtly, as a late-night thought, a dream, a random memory that lands like a gut punch. She's no longer reacting to what you say. She's reacting to what you don't. And the confusion she feels now, it's the same confusion you felt when she left. The roles have reversed, but here's the key. This only works when it's real. You can't fake this kind of silence. You can't sit in the shadows hoping she reaches out while secretly stalking her feed. That's not silence. That's hesitation. Silence, to be powerful, must be paired with growth, because silence without evolution is just avoidance. But silence with evolution, that's transformation, and transformation is what shakes her most. It's not just your words she's missing anymore, it's your energy, that grounded, centered presence she once took for granted. It's gone, and now she's not just missing you. She's wondering if she even knew you at all. That emotional, energetic, spiritual distance, it's the storm she never prepared for. And the longer she sits in it, the more she starts asking the question that you've already answered for yourself. Did I lose him? Or did he outgrow me? Number 8, you become the mystery. Predictability kills desire. It's comforting, yes, but it's also dangerous. When she knew exactly when you'd text, how you'd react, how quickly you'd apologize, it gave her control. And once she had control, the curiosity died, and with it, attraction. This is the part most men never see. Most men think that consistency equals connection, and to a point, it does. But when consistency turns to complacency, when she can read your every move before you make it, you become familiar. And familiarity is the enemy of intrigue. That's why your silence is powerful, because it creates the one thing she didn't expect: uncertainty. When you stop broadcasting your feelings, when you no longer orbit around her emotional state, when you stop showing up in her notifications like clockwork, you don't just disappear. You shift, and in that shift, you become unpredictable. Not because you're playing games, not because you're manipulating, but because you're no longer operating from need. You're moving from purpose, from presence, from alignment. That unpredictability, that new stillness, it draws her in, not because she's sure of you, but because now she isn't, and that's the spark. Women don't chase emotional chaos, they chase emotional stability. They chase mystery. They're pulled toward the man they can't quite pin down, not because he's aloof, but because he's centered, because he doesn't broadcast his emotions. He embodies them. When you become that man, something wild happens. She starts asking questions she never asked before. What is he thinking? Why doesn't he react anymore? Is he seeing someone else? She thought she had you figured out, but now you're a riddle she can't solve. And that mystery, that's power, because it doesn't just make her curious, it makes her feel again, not for who you were, but for who you've become. She didn't expect this. The narrative she built around you, predictable, accessible, always reaching out, suddenly shattered. No more messages, no more likes, no more posts curated to get her attention. You didn't fade, you disappeared, but not by accident, by design. This wasn't passive silence. This was a statement, a declaration that echoed louder than any emotional outburst ever could. And it worked, because now she doesn't know. She doesn't know if you're hurt or healed. She doesn't know if you're waiting or if you've already moved on, if you still think about her, or if you've already forgotten her name. That confusion, its power, it creates tension, and tension, whether we admit it or not, creates attraction, because the human brain is wired to solve problems. And now, you are the problem she can't solve. You are the puzzle. She checks your stories, but they're rare. She stalks your page, hoping for clues, but you've gone low-key, subtle, quiet. She looks for cracks in your armor, some signal that you're slipping, missing her, reaching for the past. But all she finds is stillness, distance, presence, control. And that triggers something ancient, that instinct to chase, to earn what was once freely given, to reclaim what she thought she'd never lose. Because this is the reverse of how it started. In the beginning, you were open, vulnerable. She had access. You gave her the key. Now she's outside the gate, confused, searching for the path back in. But the map has changed, and the mystery you now embody implies value, scarcity, strength. Because when a man becomes a mystery, a woman becomes obsessed with decoding him. But here's the truth. Mystery isn't pretending, it's living. Living with purpose, discipline, direction. Living so fully, so unapologetically, that your silence isn't a tactic, it's a byproduct. You're not hiding, you're ascending, and that shakes her, because now you're not the man she walked away from. You're the man she didn't believe you could become. She can't read you, can't predict you, can't forget you. That's when curiosity turns to craving, and craving always leads to action. But let's be clear, the comeback isn't something you chase, it's something you attract, by becoming the kind of man it finds naturally. That's where most men fail. They think no contact is just a waiting game. If I stay silent long enough, she'll come back. But that's not the game. This isn't about waiting, it's about working. It's not about hiding in the shadows, hoping she notices. It's about stepping into the light, becoming someone new. Because the man she left, he was emotional, predictable, dependent. He needed her to feel whole. But the man you've become in silence, he's forged in discipline, sharpened by absence. He doesn't crave what left. He values what stayed, his peace, his purpose, his power. And if she comes back, she won't be meeting the man she ghosted. She'll meet the man she never saw coming, the one who stopped explaining himself, the one who stopped shrinking to fit someone else's comfort. Now you move differently, speak less, act with intention. You don't let her back in because she apologized. You let her earn her way back. If she even can. That's how the power shifts. She left hoping you'd change for her, but now you've changed for you. You no longer need to be chosen because you finally chose yourself. And that's what rattles her, because it's no longer about her. This journey was never about her. It was about you. You didn't go no contact to bring her back. You went no contact to bring you back. And now comes the final stage, the stoic blessing. Letting go, not with bitterness, but with clarity, not with revenge, but with release. You don't just delete her from your phone, you remove her from your mind, from your narrative, from your identity. You don't wait at the door, you close it, not with anger, but with self-respect, because real men don't sit in limbo, half-detached, still watching, still hoping. They let go completely, they don't flinch, they don't chase, they ascend. And if she ever comes back, she won't find the man who needed her, she'll find the man she now has to earn. And if she doesn't, you've still won, because your peace doesn't depend on her presence. Letting go is the final power move. It says, I don't need closure, because I am the closure. And that energy, calm, still, grounded, is what sets you apart. That's the stoic blessing. That's the power of evolution. So if this message sparked something real in you, don't just listen, act. Don't just hear this. Live it. Join this brotherhood of men who don't beg, don't break, and don't bend for love that isn't earned. Like this video. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. I don't chase, I evolve. This is the Stoicism, and your story, it's just beginning.